Hello gentlemen. Today I'd like to share my thoughts on the Netflix original series House of Cards. Not to be confused with the original European version. With the third season only a few days away, it seemed appropriate. As always, I'll do my best to keep spoilers to a minimum. However, if you haven't seen the show before and it's in your queue, you may want to avoid this review. Let's start with the fact that it's one of the most well-done shows out there. The cinematography is giving digital a good name. The acting is excellent. And last but certainly not least, the writing is excellent. The reason I recommend this show for Mgtow is because the behavior of the female characters on this show are very much on par with actual women I've encountered while working in entertainment over the years. I cannot speak to its accuracy in terms of the women in politics because I have no experience in that realm. But, since politics is essentially just another form of entertainment similar to sports and the so-called news, I'll make an educated guess and say that the political playing field probably has some strong parallels. In the spirit of fairness, I'll also admit that the men on the show also remind me very much of men in the entertainment business as well. But here's the deviation: men are always being portrayed on screen as the ruthless assholes we can be. It's rare, however, that women in their brand of cloaked but deliberate manipulation is portrayed honestly and accurately. What's hilarious about most screenwriting is that men, who have always comprised the vast majority of working screenwriters, often like to portray women as some kind of voice of reason within their screenwriting. To that I say, come on guys. Really? What's also interesting about this show to me is the fact that the writers tend to go right up to the edge of suspension of disbelief and only occasionally cross that line. By writing in that manner, it's not that they don't ask you to suspend disbelief like any other drama. They just do not abuse it in the same manner as juvenile and gynocentric shows like Scandal, or the supposedly unscripted housewife reality shows. So instead of a soap opera, what you get is a truthfulness that is stretched just a hair beyond what you believe people are actually capable of. The key female character is Claire Underwood, portrayed by Robin Wright. She is the near-now-Walt wife of Frank Underwood, who is portrayed by Kevin Spacey. I say near-now-Walt because initially on the surface she seems to be the perfect supportive complement to a very ambitious man. She works closely with him on strategy and proper manipulation. She even extends her expert female knowledge of manipulation and personal resources to him so he can win the various battles he faces. She even allows him his occasional dalliance with younger, hotter options, and he allows her the same. What ultimately makes this very fictional couple so amazing is that she seems to know exactly who he is and still respects and supports him, and he seems to know exactly who she is and does the same. For the record, this kind of marriage may exist, but I've never seen it. That's probably what makes it so fantastic to watch. It's kind of like equal parts drama and science fiction. But, yes my friends, there is always a but. Because there's always an undercurrent when it comes to women. As I have said in the past, no matter how truthful women present themselves to me, you always have to ask, what is she not telling me? Despite the fact that she knows exactly who this man is and has signed on for all of his shenanigans. Despite the fact that she's more in the loop than any woman ever should be. Despite the fact the stakes of the game extraordinarily high. She still grapples with following his lead, seeing the big picture, emotional volatility and petty jealousy. She also still feels the need to keep secrets from a man who consistently lays everything out on the table for her. The only secrets he barely keeps from her are the ones that require plausible deniability in the event that the scheme goes to shit. Why? Because like most men, he's attempting to protect her. Even though she's been in all of it with him. From the beginning, lock, stock and barrel, he seeks to save her in advance should the House of Cards come crashing down. Season 3 trailers are already pointing toward the idea that she is suddenly having some faux crisis of conscience about all that has transpired. If I am indeed correct, I will have the pleasure of saying I saw this coming from a mile a fucking way. In any event, while the writing of Claire's wifely camaraderie may be outside the scope of believability, her tactics, manipulation and cold ruthlessness are very much the kinds of activity I've seen from women married to powerful men in entertainment. The other key character for Mgtow study on this show is Zoe Barnes, played by Kate Mara. She is a far more typical example of what I've seen around the entertainment industry. She is the quintessential example of women using men almost exclusively for utility and resource. When women are ambitious like this, they seem to never even consider hard work as an option. They immediately pass go and head for extreme manipulation to get where they want to go. This is the kind of woman who will throw men, other women and possibly even children under the bus en route to her destination. The irony as always is that she will then fake these brief moments of vulnerability, ethics and conscience. This woman is really out there. I have worked with her, slept with her and even foolishly taken her seriously on occasion. Fair warning, if you are a Mgtow, your disdain for this character will be overwhelming. Women like this are the reason the concept of Mgtow came into being. Also beware. The simp played by Sebastian Arsluz on the show actually believes that she is worth loving. He will also turn your stomach. I've never seen women complain too much about the writing of female characters on this show. At least not the same way they cry bloody murder about Mad Men or Game of Thrones. My best speculation on why is because they look at Zoe, Claire and the other chicks on the show and think, yeah, that's about right. There are several female characters on this show that will rub a Mgtow wrong, but I'm only going to cover the main two. I will give an honorable mention to the Rachel character played by Rachel Brosnahan. She should win a Mgtow award for most authentically damaged call girl in a series or television drama. And yes, the men on this show are also ruthless. However, the majority of their ruthlessness is clear, apparent and discussed openly. They draw clear lines in the sand and use the rules of the game to their advantage. It's often just a case of, we are not on the same side and may the best man win. Suffice it to say, that is rarely how the women on this show function. If you haven't seen House of Cards, I say it's well worth a good weekend binge. And with season 3 a few days away you can really go all in if you find that you like it. If you just want to watch it for a Mgtow lesson, I recommend anything in season 1 focused on the Zoe character and episode 1 of season 2, if you're seeking some imaginary justice. As always, I'd like to point out that writers of such things most often write from their personal experience and there is almost always an element of truth within fiction. And that is why I believe these artifacts to be germane. I also believe that if you are going to spend time watching things for entertainment purposes, it doesn't hurt to get a dose of red pills in the midst of it. And speaking of lines in the sand, before I go I'd like to say I sincerely hope the feud between Stardust and Sandman is winding down. While I am a proponent of men occasionally slugging it out, this one has the potential of too many negative big picture ramifications if it drags on. Let's ring the bell fellas and just agree to disagree with each other's style, motivations and ideology. We are after all, men, going our own way, correct? My book recommend for this week is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I think this is an excellent tool for generating ideas about ways to generate freedom in your life. While getting your workweek down to 4 hours may be near impossible, this book has tons of useful techniques, resources and decision-making models for earning income in non-traditional ways. I'm also going to put some links to things below you may find useful. That's all for today, gents. So until my next rant, forget those hoes. Get productive and get your purpose in gear. And always remember, if they are breathing, more often than not, they are lying.